worked on the slope as an engineer. I worked under one man the entire time, Reed. He was in his 70s, missing a finger, biked to work every day, and he was the best mentor I could have had, but not in the way you'd think. He didn't sit me down and teach me everything I know. It was quieter than that. He watched. He corrected what needed correcting and left alone what didn't. He showed me, by example, never by lecture, how to read a room full of egos and survive corporate politics. And he did something a lot of people with that much experience don't do. He actually liked what I brought. We did pipeline construction, project work out of Prudhoe and the sites around it. In my first winter, our job was to replace one of the original pipelines from some of the very first drill sites up there. And here's the part that still gets me. Reed had installed those original lines decades earlier, and now he'd come back to tear them out and lay the new ones. That's how long this man had been doing this. He'd outlasted his own pipelines. He'd been around so long, he didn't soften anything for anyone. Sometimes we couldn't even bring him into meetings with clients because Reed was going to speak his mind whether they liked it or not. He could smell an ego from across the room, and he refused to feed it. After 50 years, he'd earned that. But here's the thing people don't always understand about mentorship. It wasn't one direction. He was teaching me, but I was teaching him too. I'd grown up good with computers, AutoCAD, Excel, the stuff he never really had. Okay, he did use a punch card calculator a few times in college, but you know what I mean. He learned engineering by hand over a lifetime. I had just finished my degree, ready to build. And that first winter, he gave me this spreadsheet process that, done by hand, took about 3 months. So I started doing it manually. And after doing that long enough to understand the problem, I spent the rest of the time building formulas to solve it. The first one took me about the same time it would have taken him, 3 months. But at the end, I didn't just have an answer, I had a system. So when he handed me the next one, that same 3-month job came back in seconds. I'm sure it looked like witchcraft to him, some kid turning 3 months into an afternoon. But he didn't get territorial about it. He didn't make it a pride thing. He trusted my judgment faster than most people would let a younger guy in. And honestly, I think he saw it pretty simply. Less for him to carry. So he took the help. That's what made it work. He wasn't just my mentor. I was kind of his on the technical side. 2 people who had learned the same trade from opposite ends, meeting in the middle, each handing the other the half they didn't have. I used to ask him why he hadn't retired. He'd always say it was the expensive hobbies and the bad investments, but I never really believed him. I think the work was just part of him by then, like it had gotten woven into who he was. We had a couple scares over the years. He got sick once, like real sick, and he didn't want to go home. He just sat there struggling, refusing to leave, acting like it was somehow normal, stubborn as ever. And then he recovered. Of course he did. When I think about Reed now, it's always a warm memory. Not one big lesson or some grand speech, just a man who gave me a room to become useful and then trusted me when I did. Reciprocity like that is rare. I haven't worked with anyone like him since, and if I'm lucky, one day I'll be someone's Reed.